For many, Lebanon and the Middle East have fallen into stereotypes of infighting and violence. But the New York Times UN Bureau Chief, Neil MacFarquhar, paints a much different picture in his new book entitled The Media Relations Department of Hezbollah Wishes You a Happy Birthday. A brief time ago, I spoke to him about the interesting title of his book and today's events. Neil, thanks for coming in. Has the US administration, but also a large part of Lebanese society, dodged a bullet with this election result or not?
I think it's mostly about symbolism. You know, the United States allies won, so the United States can say, you know, people like us in the Middle East. But in terms of actual changes on the ground, I mean, Hezbollah got a big block, and they're still going to be an influential voice. So in terms of the day-to-day politics in Lebanon, it's not going to change much.
Does Lebanon stay as unstable as it was before?
I think it's hard to tell. I mean, they've had a working government at this point, so they probably can work it out in the same way, but they're not really going to solve the problems until they solve some of the larger issues in the Middle East.
The fact that Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden have been there, the fact that Obama gave that speech in Cairo last week, would that have had any influence at all on this result?
Sometimes you think there's an opposite reaction. You know, they get kind of angry that Joe Biden is showing up or trying to influence the election. But if anything, I think maybe Obama's speech, helped because there's this voice of moderation out there, and people think, well, maybe we should go with the moderation.
Where are the voices of moderation in the Middle East, the Middle Eastern voices of moderation, the role models? If Obama's a role model for some people in the Middle East, where are the Middle Eastern role models?
I think there are people in every country. I mean, I was there as a correspondent for 5 years, and I think there are people working for social change and trying to push out, civil society, free speech, all those things. They're working against terrible odds, but they are working.
But their names are known.
Well, their names are known certainly in the countries where they're working. Outside, a few get famous when they get thrown into jail, but they are there and working hard.
And if you're President Ahmadinejad and you're facing your own elections later this week, and you look at this particular result in Lebanon, and the party that you back, that you've helped to finance, has not done as well as you might have hoped, do you take any lessons from that?
I think, that elections in Iran are always a surprise. You never quite know the results. I mean, they're limited to a certain number of people, but you never know the results. And I think, you're worried because your ally lost.
Now, let's talk about your book briefly. First of all, the title. I think you need to do some explaining here. The title is, let me get this right, The Media Relations Department of Hezbollah Wishes You a Happy Birthday. Did they wish you a happy birthday?
They did wish me a happy birthday. When you work in Hezbollah territory in Lebanon, one of the things they do is media outreach. So you fill out a bunch of paperwork, and they ask you for your birth date. And then on my next birthday, they sent me a little poem from Hezbollah at hezbollah.org.
I guess the point you're trying to make is that they're not just an extremist group as the way that they're classified here in the US most of the time. They're also extremely savvy at public relations, at community affairs, and that kind of stuff.
Yes, they are very good. And we kind of get caught up in this whole debate about, terrorist organization or social service agency. And what we really kind of need to study a bit more is how they are so successful. And the example I use in the book is this fight over turning hashish farmers into dairy cow farmers, which the Americans started and the Iranians tried to horn in on via Hezbollah.
And finally, Neil, do you envisage a day when the U.S. administration, the current one, can talk to Hezbollah and have meaningful negotiations with them?
I think, at some point they're going to solve the Arab-Israeli dispute, we hope. And at that point, Hezbollah kind of loses its cachet as liberating Jerusalem, which it can't do anyway. And then it becomes just a normal Lebanese party, and yes, you can talk to them.
Neil MacFarquhar, thank you very much for coming in. The book is called The Media Relations Department of Hezbollah Wishes You and me a happy birthday. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.